Imagine a world where the single most powerful tool to boost your memory, sharpen your focus, extend your lifespan, supercharge your immune system, and even protect you from diseases like cancer and Alzheimer's is freely available every single night. No pills, no complicated rituals, no expensive treatments. Just a natural gift you already have, waiting to be tapped into. That tool is sleep. And yet, in our modern, fast-paced, endlessly buzzing society, sleep has become one of the most underrated, overlooked, and even ridiculed parts of life. We treat it as optional, a luxury, or worse, a weakness. How many times have you heard someone brag, "I only slept 4 hours last night," as if cutting corners on rest is some badge of honor? But what if I told you that neglecting sleep is silently killing your creativity, stealing years off your life, and even rewriting your very genetic code? In his groundbreaking book, Why We Sleep, neuroscientist and sleep researcher Matthew Walker takes us on a journey into the mysterious, fascinating, and life-shaping world of sleep. He argues that sleep isn't just downtime when the body shuts off. It is an active, dynamic, and incredibly important process that transforms your brain and body in ways science is only beginning to understand. And in this video, we're going to explore the insights from his work, chapter by chapter, idea by idea, but in a way that's gripping, story-driven, and most importantly, life-changing for you. Let's start with a basic but astonishing truth. Every living organism on this planet, from the tiniest fruit fly to the largest blue whale, needs sleep. Evolution is ruthless. It eliminates traits that don't serve survival. So, if sleep were truly optional, if it were simply wasted time, why would nature preserve it in every species for millions of years? The fact that sleep exists across the entire tree of life means it must serve a purpose so vital, so foundational, that without it, life itself would crumble. And yet, ironically, humans have become the only species that deliberately deprives itself of sleep. Think about that for a moment. Your dog doesn't stay up binging Netflix. A cat doesn't pull an all-nighter working on spreadsheets. But we humans proudly burn the midnight oil, convinced we're gaining productivity, when in reality, we're sabotaging the very thing that makes us productive, creative, and healthy in the first place. Walker's mission is to reveal what science now knows, that sleep is the ultimate life support system, a Swiss Army knife of health, operating in the background, silently repairing, learning, and strengthening you. To understand just how profound sleep is, let's clear up one big myth. Sleep is not a passive state. It's not like turning off a machine and waiting until you switch it back on. During sleep, your brain is lit up with activity. Neurons fire in coordinated patterns. Memories are replayed and stitched together. Emotions are regulated. Toxins are flushed out, and your body goes through deep physical repair. There are two main types of sleep: NREM, non-rapid eye movement, and REM, rapid eye movement. Each plays a distinct but equally crucial role. NREM sleep is like a master archivist, moving information from short-term storage into long-term memory banks, while REM sleep is a playground of creativity and emotional balance. It's in REM sleep that dreams occur, weaving bizarre but meaningful connections between ideas, helping you think outside the box and process emotional pain. Skipping these stages isn't just losing rest. It's losing intelligence, emotional stability, and even sanity. Walker makes a chilling but accurate statement. The shorter your sleep, the shorter your life. And this is an exaggeration. It's a biological fact. Now, why does this matter to you, sitting here watching this video? Because chances are, like most people in our sleep-deprived world, you're not getting enough sleep. The average adult today sleeps less than 7 hours a night. Compare that to just a century ago, when people regularly got 8 or 9 hours. This decline is not an accident. It's the result of electric light, work culture, caffeine, alcohol, smartphones, and an obsession with being constantly on. The cost? Skyrocketing rates of obesity, heart disease, depression, anxiety, diabetes, weakened immunity, and yes, early death. It's not just about how you feel tomorrow morning. It's about whether you'll even live long enough to see your future. Lack of sleep is linked to almost every major killer in the developed world. Think about that. Every disease you fear, cancer, dementia, stroke, heart attack, is made more likely, more aggressive, and more deadly when you don't get enough sleep. This isn't scaremongering. It's decades of solid science. And yet there's hope, because unlike genetics, where you're stuck with the DNA you inherited, sleep is something you can control. You can reclaim it. You can build habits and create environments that welcome back the deep, nourishing rest your body craves. And the rewards are enormous. Sleep is not just about avoiding disease. It's about unlocking potential. Imagine remembering everything you learned with crystal clarity, handling stress with ease, being more creative than ever, looking younger, living longer, and waking up actually feeling alive. That's what sleep can do for you. In this series, as we walk through the science, the stories, and the strategies from why we sleep, you'll see sleep not as wasted time, but as a foundation upon which everything in your life is built. Your health, your happiness, your relationships, your career, your very sense of self. So, let's begin this journey together. Over the next sections, we'll dive deep into the biology of sleep, the consequences of ignoring it, the miracles it performs on your body and brain, and the simple, practical steps you can take to transform your nights and, in turn, your life. By the end, I promise you'll never look at your pillow the same way again. Because when you finally understand what sleep truly is, you'll realize it isn't just rest. It's life itself, delivered in nightly installments, waiting for you to claim it. To truly appreciate why sleep is non-negotiable, we need to step inside the night and see what actually happens while you're asleep. Because sleep isn't just one uniform state. It's a carefully orchestrated cycle of distinct stages that unfold in a repeating rhythm every night. Think of it as nature's own symphony, with different instruments playing at different times, each essential for the masterpiece to be complete. Matthew Walker describes these stages primarily in two categories: NREM non-rapid eye movement, sleep, and REM, rapid eye movement, sleep. They alternate throughout the night in 90-minute cycles, like the ebb and flow of a tide. And just like a tide, the timing and balance between them matters. Too little of one or the other, and the system collapses. This is where most of us unknowingly sabotage ourselves. By cutting sleep short, we rip out entire chapters of this nightly biological story, leaving our brain and body unfinished, unrefreshed, and unprepared for life the next day. So let's break it down. NREM sleep comes first and dominates the early part of the night. Within NREM, there are several stages, but the deepest is what Walker calls slow-wave sleep, marked by powerful, synchronized brain waves sweeping across the cortex like a tide washing the beach. Imagine your brain like a chalkboard full of scribbles from a busy day. New facts, random encounters, stress, emotions, unfinished tasks. During deep NREM sleep, it's as though a teacher gently wipes away the irrelevant chalk marks while carefully preserving the important notes. This is when the brain consolidates memories, moving them from short-term storage in the hippocampus to more permanent storage in the cortex. In other words, sleep doesn't just help you remember. It transforms fragile impressions into lasting knowledge. Without this process, your brain becomes like a USB drive that fills up and crashes. That's why pulling all-nighters before exams is such a catastrophic idea. You might cram information into your brain while awake, but without sleep, that knowledge never sticks. Walker's research with students proves this. Sleep-deprived learners retain less than half of what well-rested learners do. It's not just studying. This applies to skills, creativity, and even athletic training. Sleep isn't just the end of learning. It's part of learning itself. But the magic doesn't stop there. As the night progresses, REM sleep begins to dominate, and this stage is equally extraordinary. REM is where your brain becomes hyperactive, almost as if you were awake, but your body is paralyzed, thankfully, so you don't physically act out your dreams. And those dreams aren't random nonsense, as we often assume. They are deeply purposeful. Walker explains that REM dreams are like overnight therapy sessions. Your brain takes the painful emotional experiences of the day and replays them in a safer, muted environment, stripping away the sharp edges of hurt while keeping the lessons. This is why people who are well-rested are less emotionally reactive, more stable, and better able to handle stress. Deprive yourself of REM, and emotions spiral out of control. You become more irritable, anxious, and prone to depression. On the other hand, with enough REM, your brain weaves connections between unrelated ideas, sparking creativity and innovation. Some of history's greatest breakthroughs, the structure of DNA, the invention of the sewing machine, even musical masterpieces, were born in dreams. So when you skip sleep to be productive, you're not gaining time. You're literally throwing away the raw material of genius. And here's where things get even more fascinating. The order and timing of these stages matter enormously. In the early part of the night, NREM dominates. Toward morning, REM takes over. That means if you routinely cut your sleep short by waking up early or staying up late, you're selectively robbing yourself of REM, the very stage linked to creativity, emotional resilience, and problem solving. For example, if you sleep only 6 hours instead of 8, you're not losing just a couple hours. You're losing most of your REM. It's like leaving a theater halfway through the movie and thinking you got the whole story. You didn't. Your brain didn't either. Walker calls this REM sleep starvation, and it has consequences so severe they can alter your personality, decision-making, and even your risk for mental illness. But sleep isn't just about the brain, it's about the body too. During deep NREM sleep, your body repairs tissues, rebuilds muscle, strengthens bones, and boosts your immune system. Growth hormone is released, inflammation is reduced, and energy stores are replenished. If you're an athlete or someone who works out, this is when your muscles actually grow stronger. If you're fighting an infection, this is when your immune system rallies its troops. On the flip side, cut your sleep short and your body pays the price. Just one night of poor sleep lowers immune cell activity by up to 70%. That's right. Your defenses against illness are cut in half after a single bad night. No wonder people who don't sleep enough are more prone to colds, flu, and chronic disease. Sleep isn't laziness, it's survival. Another startling discovery is how sleep interacts with your very DNA. Scientists have found that sleep deprivation alters the activity of your genes. Genes associated with stress and inflammation are switched on, while those linked to repair and immunity are switched off. In other words, losing sleep doesn't just make you tired. It rewrites the code of your biology, pushing you toward disease and away from health. Imagine that. Staying up late on your phone doesn't just make you groggy tomorrow. It changes the genetic instructions that shape your future body. If sleep were a pill with all these benefits, it would be the most powerful, best-selling drug in history. And yet, it costs nothing, requires no prescription, and is available to you every single night. So, when we step back and look at this nightly dance of NREM and REM, the takeaway is clear. Sleep is not optional downtime. It is an essential biological rhythm, honed by evolution, that performs tasks no other state of being can accomplish. Lose it, and you lose memory, emotional health, creativity, physical vitality, and even the stability of your DNA. Protect it, and you gain one of the most powerful allies you will ever have in your journey through life. And as we move forward, we'll see just how devastating the consequences of sleep deprivation really are, not just for individuals, but for societies, economies, and entire nations. Because the cost of ignoring sleep is far higher than most of us ever imagined. Now that we understand how miraculous and essential sleep is, it's time to look at the darker side, the brutal cost of not getting enough of it. And make no mistake, sleep deprivation is not just about feeling groggy the next day. It's not about being a little tired. It's a full-scale assault on your brain, your body, your health, and even the safety of people around you. Matthew Walker puts it bluntly. If there were one single factor that could predict how long you will live, how sharp your mind will stay, and how healthy you'll be in the decades to come, it's not diet, not exercise, not wealth, it's sleep. And yet, modern society is chronically sleep-deprived. Studies estimate that 2/3 of adults in developed nations are not getting the recommended 7 to 9 hours per night. That's billions of people walking around impaired, weakened, and dangerously unaware of just how compromised they are. And this isn't just an individual issue. Sleep deprivation has ripple effects across entire societies, economies, and nations. Let's start with the brain. One of the first things sleep deprivation destroys is your ability to focus and learn. Remember, deep NREM sleep clears out your short-term memory and makes space for new information. Without it, your brain is like a hard drive that's full. You simply can't upload more data. Walker ran a study where students were divided into 2 groups. One slept a full night, the other stayed awake. The next day, both groups were given a learning task. The results? The sleep-deprived group's ability to form new memories dropped by 40%. That's not a small dip. That's the difference between passing and failing. And yet, we live in cultures where students are encouraged to pull all-nighters, where employees are rewarded for working late, where sleep is treated as laziness. What we're really rewarding is brain damage, because without sleep, we're literally blocking the brain from learning. But it doesn't stop with memory. Sleep deprivation affects your emotional brain, too. At the center of this is the amygdala, the brain's emotional alarm system. When you don't get enough sleep, the amygdala becomes 60% more reactive. That means you overreact to trivial events, snap at loved ones, and perceive threats where none exist. Essentially, you lose emotional balance. At the same time, sleep deprivation disconnects the amygdala from the prefrontal cortex, the rational part of your brain that normally calms it down. So you're not just more emotional, you're less able to control it. This combination is a recipe for conflict, stress, and mental health decline. In fact, lack of sleep has been strongly linked to anxiety disorders, depression, bipolar disorder, and even suicide. Imagine millions of people worldwide functioning every day with emotional breaks cut off. That's the hidden epidemic Walker warns about. And then there's the body. Sleep deprivation attacks nearly every system in it. Start with the cardiovascular system. Just one night of poor sleep can raise your blood pressure. Chronic lack of sleep dramatically increases your risk of heart attack and stroke. In fact, the World Health Organization has officially classified night shift work as a probable carcinogen, partly because of its impact on sleep. If you sleep less than 6 hours a night, your risk of dying from a heart attack skyrockets by 200%. Think about that. Something as simple as going to bed on time could literally be the difference between life and death. Then there's the immune system. After one sleepless night, your natural killer cells, the ones that attack cancer and infections, plummet by 70%. That means you're not just more likely to catch a cold, you're more likely to let cancer cells grow unchecked. Walker summarizes it like this: the shorter your sleep, the shorter your life. And the evidence is overwhelming. Perhaps one of the most shocking consequences of sleep loss is its impact on accidents. Sleep deprivation is as dangerous as alcohol when it comes to driving. After 20 hours awake, your reaction times are equivalent to someone who is legally drunk. Drowsy driving causes more accidents than drugs and alcohol combined. Think about how terrifying that is. Every time you or someone else gets behind the wheel sleep deprived, it's like letting a drunk driver loose on the road. And unlike alcohol, there's no breathalyzer for sleepiness. People don't realize how impaired they are until it's too late. Some of history's worst disasters, the Chernobyl meltdown, the Exxon Valdez oil spill, the Challenger space shuttle explosion, were all linked, at least in part, to sleep deprivation. This isn't a personal inconvenience. It's a global safety hazard. But beyond the catastrophic, there's also the slow, creeping damage. Sleep loss is a key driver of obesity and diabetes. When you're sleep deprived, your hunger hormones go haywire. Ghrelin, which makes you hungry, spikes, while leptin, which signals fullness, drops. As a result, you crave junk food, you overeat, and your body stores more fat. Meanwhile, your cells become less sensitive to insulin, pushing you toward diabetes. It's not willpower, it's biology. That's why sleep-deprived people are almost twice as likely to become obese. And the cruel irony? The less you sleep, the more your metabolism slows down, meaning you gain weight faster even if you eat the same food. So when society tells people to eat less and exercise more, but ignores sleep, we're blaming individuals for something deeply rooted in physiology. And let's not forget cancer. Walker highlights chilling evidence that chronic sleep deprivation increases your risk of cancers like colon, prostate, and breast cancer. Why? Because your immune system is weakened, your cells accumulate DNA damage, and your body loses its ability to repair. Shift workers, who often sacrifice normal sleep cycles, show dramatically higher cancer rates. Again, this isn't coincidence, it's cause and effect. Every time you miss sleep, you're not just borrowing energy from tomorrow, you're borrowing health from your future. And eventually, the debt comes due. So when we think of sleep deprivation, we shouldn't think of it as just being tired. It's closer to poisoning yourself, slowly and visibly but relentlessly. It wrecks your brain, destabilizes your emotions, weakens your immune system, raises your risk of nearly every chronic disease, and makes you a danger on the road and at work. And here's the kicker. Most people don't even realize they're impaired. Studies show that sleep-deprived people consistently underestimate how badly their performance has declined. They think they're fine. They're not, which means the most dangerous part of sleep deprivation is that you don't feel how dangerous it is. This is the hidden cost of modern life. In our race for productivity, we are sacrificing the very thing that makes productivity possible. In our chase for health and success, we are ignoring the foundation upon which health and success are built. And in the process, we are creating a society that is less intelligent, less creative, more sick, more angry, and more accident-prone. Walker's message is clear. The lack of sleep is not just a personal problem. It's a public health crisis. And unless we start valuing sleep, both as individuals and as a culture, the consequences will only get worse. But here's the good news. It doesn't have to be this way. Sleep is one of the few health choices where the benefits begin the very next night you decide to change. And in the next part of this journey, we'll explore the fascinating ways sleep enhances memory, creativity, athletic performance, and even your ability to age gracefully. Because sleep isn't just about avoiding disease. It's about unlocking your full potential. Up until now, we've explored how devastating the lack of sleep can be. But here's the uplifting part. The flip side of the story that's just as astonishing. When you do get the sleep your body and brain are craving, you don't just avoid disease, you unlock a kind of superpower. Sleep is like a secret performance enhancer, an elixir for the mind and body that no supplement, no diet, no technology can replace. Matthew Walker's research makes it crystal clear. If you want to learn faster, think more creatively, excel in sports, manage your emotions, and even live longer, then sleep is the single most powerful tool you already have. And best of all, it's free. Let's break down these extraordinary benefits one by one. First, memory and learning. Think about the last time you studied for an exam, tried to pick up a new skill, or even just attempted to remember someone's name. If you were sleep deprived, you probably struggled. That's because sleep isn't just a passive period where the brain rests. It's an active process where information is restructured and strengthened. During NREM sleep, especially the deep slow wave stages, your brain decides which information is important enough to keep and which can be discarded. Then, during REM sleep, that information is integrated into the bigger web of your knowledge, connecting dots you didn't even realize were related. Walker explains it beautifully. It's as though sleep weaves your new experiences into the fabric of what you already know, creating a richer, more insightful understanding. That's why people who sleep after studying not only remember more, they understand better. This is true for students, professionals, musicians, or anyone learning anything new. And here's the kicker. Even daytime naps can give you a powerful memory boost, provided they contain both NREM and REM cycles. Imagine one simple nap could make you smarter. Then there's creativity. Ever had the experience of going to bed stuck on a problem and waking up with a solution? That's not coincidence. It's your sleeping brain at work. During REM sleep, the brain loosens rigid connections and allows far-flung ideas to mingle. It's like a brainstorming session where anything goes, and out of that chaos comes originality. Some of humanity's greatest leaps forward came through dreams. The periodic table was inspired by a dream, as was the idea for Google's algorithm. Musicians, artists, writers, and scientists throughout history have leaned on their dreams as a wellspring of inspiration. Walker calls REM sleep the birthplace of creativity. In a world that increasingly values innovation, sleep isn't optional. It's the ultimate creative edge. And let's not forget athletic performance. Elite sports teams are now hiring sleep coaches. And for good reason. Sleep enhances every aspect of physical performance. Speed, accuracy, reaction time, strength, and endurance. One study showed that basketball players who increased their sleep to 10 hours a night improved their free throw accuracy by nearly 10% and sprint times by a full second. That's the difference between good and great. Sleep also reduces injury risk by improving coordination and reaction time. And the benefits don't end with physical skills. Athletes who sleep more also show greater emotional control under pressure. Even if you're not a professional athlete, this matters. Whether you're running a 5K, going to gym, or just trying to stay fit, sleep is the cheapest, most effective performance enhancer you'll ever find. Forget expensive supplements. What you really need is an early bedtime. But the powers of sleep go beyond memory, creativity, and physical ability. They reach into the very core of who we are, our emotional intelligence. Remember how sleep deprivation makes the amygdala go haywire? Well, the reverse is also true. When you're well rested, your prefrontal cortex and amygdala work together smoothly, giving you better control over your emotions. You're calmer, more empathetic, more patient. You don't snap at your partner. You handle stress with resilience, and you're able to read other people's emotions more accurately. In short, sleep makes you a better friend, a better partner, a better parent, a better leader. In a world where relationships and communication are key to success, emotional stability is everything, and sleep is a foundation. And here's something we all care about: aging. We live in a culture obsessed with anti-aging creams, supplements, and treatments. But the most powerful anti-aging remedy is already in your bedroom. During deep sleep, growth hormone floods the body, repairing tissues, rebuilding muscle, and keeping skin healthy. Sleep also strengthens the immune system and lowers inflammation, which are key to longevity. People who consistently get enough sleep live longer, healthier lives than those who don't. In fact, lack of sleep accelerates the aging process at the cellular level, shortening your telomeres, the protective caps on your DNA. The shorter your telomeres, the faster you age. Sleep literally keeps your cells young. So if you want to stay sharp, look younger, and add years to your life, prioritize sleep. Forget the expensive anti-aging industry. Your pillow is a real fountain of youth. And perhaps the most profound benefit of all, sleep enhances your sense of meaning and purpose. Think about it. When you're sleep deprived, the world feels dull, overwhelming, and gray. Your motivation plummets, your patience wears thin, and life becomes a grind. But when you're well rested, the same world feels vibrant, manageable, and inspiring. You notice beauty, you laugh more easily, you feel more connected. Sleep doesn't just add years to your life, it adds life to your years. Walker often says, sleep is the Swiss Army knife of health. It's not one thing, it's everything. It protects your brain, strengthens your body, balances your emotions, enhances your creativity, and extends your lifespan. It's a foundation upon which everything else rests. So, let's be clear, sleep is not wasted time. It's not laziness. It's not a luxury. It is the single most effective thing you can do to reset your brain and body every single day. And the best part is, it doesn't require effort. You don't have to do sleep, you just have to allow it. Give yourself permission to rest, and your body will take care of the rest. In the next section, we'll shift gears and look at the fascinating question. If sleep is so powerful, why are we losing it in modern life? Why do we live in a culture that glorifies exhaustion and dismisses sleep as weakness? And what can we do to reclaim our nights from the grip of modern technology, work pressure, and social habits? Because understanding the value of sleep is one thing, but protecting it in today's world is a battle we must learn to fight. If sleep is such a miracle drug, free, universal, and available every night, then here's the million-dollar question. Why are we losing it? Why, in the 21st century, are people sleeping less than ever before in human history? The answer is complex, but Matthew Walker identifies a web of cultural, technological, and environmental factors that combine to rob us of the rest our bodies are desperately craving. The tragedy is that most of these factors are self-inflicted. We build a society that glorifies exhaustion, celebrates busyness, and undervalues sleep. And unless we understand these forces, we can't fight back. Let's break them down one by one. First and foremost, artificial light. For nearly all of human history, our ancestors lived by the rhythms of the sun. When it set, the world grew dark, and sleep naturally followed. But the invention of the light bulb changed everything. Suddenly, night was optional. Our brains, however, haven't caught up. Inside our heads, we have a biological clock called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, a tiny cluster of 20,000 neurons in the hypothalamus. This clock regulates our circadian rhythm, our natural 24-hour cycle of wake and sleep. It's synchronized by light. specifically by natural daylight. When the sun rises, light enters the eyes and resets this clock, signaling the body to wake up. At night, in darkness, the brain releases melatonin, the hormone that tells us it's time to sleep. But artificial light, especially the blue light emitted by screens, tricks the brain into thinking it's still daytime. The result? Melatonin release is delayed, sleepiness is postponed, and we stay up late, wired and restless. Walker puts it simply, we are a dark-deprived society, and without darkness, true sleep cannot begin. Next up, caffeine. It's the world's most popular psychoactive drug, consumed daily by billions in the form of coffee, tea, soda, and energy drinks. Caffeine works by blocking adenosine, a chemical that builds up in the brain throughout the day and creates the pressure to sleep. Imagine adenosine as sand filling an hourglass. When it reaches the top, you feel tired. Caffeine flips the hourglass, tricking you into feeling alert, but without removing the sand. When the caffeine wears off, the adenosine rushes back all at once, leaving you exhausted. That's the crash. The bigger problem? Caffeine has a half-life of 5 to 7 hours. That means if you drink a cup of coffee at 4 p.m., half the caffeine is still in your system at 10 p.m., and even if you fall asleep, caffeine disrupts deep NREM sleep, making rest shallower and less restorative. You may not notice, but your brain and body do. Walker warns, caffeine is not just keeping you awake, it is stealing your sleep quality. For true rest, limiting caffeine to the morning is essential. Then there's alcohol, often misunderstood as a sleep aid. Many people have a drink in the evening to wind down. Yes, alcohol may help you fall asleep faster, but it's a sedative, not real sleep. Sedation shuts down brain activity, preventing the natural cycling between NREM and REM sleep. In particular, alcohol suppresses REM, the stage responsible for emotional balance and creativity. That's why people who drink before bed wake up groggy, unrefreshed, and emotionally unstable. On top of that, alcohol fragments sleep, causing multiple awakenings throughout the night. So while it feels like alcohol helps you sleep in reality, it robs you of the very stages that make sleep restorative. In Walker's words, alcohol is one of the most powerful suppressors of REM sleep we know. If sleep is a symphony, alcohol breaks the instruments. But perhaps the greatest thief of sleep today is technology, specifically smartphones. Our devices don't just emit blue light that delays melatonin, they also hijack our attention. Scrolling social media, watching videos, reply to late-night emails, these activities keep the brain stimulated when it should be winding down. Worse, the content often triggers emotions, stress, excitement, anxiety that directly oppose relaxation. Add to this the dopamine hit of notifications, and we build devices designed to keep us awake long past a natural bedtime. It's no wonder insomnia rates are climbing worldwide. Our bedrooms, once sanctuaries of rest, have become extensions of the office, the classroom, and the endless digital carnival. Layered on top of all this is the modern work culture. In many societies, especially industrialized ones, sleep is equated with laziness. People brag about surviving on 4 or 5 hours, as if exhaustion were a mark of dedication. Work schedules often ignore biology, early start times for schools, 24/7 shift work, long commutes. Yet Walker's research shows humans are not built for this. Teenagers, for example, have naturally delayed circadian rhythms, making early school start times a biological torture. Shift workers live with a constant mismatch between their internal clock and external demands, leading to higher rates of cancer, heart disease, and mental illness. Our society praises productivity, but in doing so, we are dismantling the very foundation of productivity, healthy, well-rested minds and bodies. So, how do we reclaim sleep in this modern world? It starts with respect. Respecting sleep is a priority, not an afterthought. That means designing environments and routines that work with, not against, our biology. Dim the lights in the evening, especially overhead and blue-tinted ones. Keep a regular sleep schedule. Go to bed and waking up at the same time every day, even weekends. Avoid caffeine after noon. Skip alcohol before bed. Make bedrooms dark, cool, and free of electronics. Treat the bed as sacred, a place only for sleep and intimacy, not for work or screens. These steps might sound simple, but in practice, they require courage. Courage to step away from endless scrolling, to say no to late-night work, to resist the cultural glorification of sleeplessness. Yet the reward is enormous, the return of deep, nourishing, life-extending rest. Walker emphasizes that fixing sleep isn't just an individual mission, it's a societal one. Schools should start later to match teenagers' biology. Workplaces should respect rest as much as effort. Urban planning should consider light pollution. And healthcare should treat sleep as seriously as diet and exercise. Because when society gets sleep right, everyone benefits. Healthier citizens, safer roads, stronger economies, more creative innovations. The way we treat sleep is not just a personal health choice, it's a public policy decision. And right now we're failing. The bottom line is this: sleep loss in modern life isn't inevitable. It's a choice, one we've been making unconsciously by embracing technology, caffeine, alcohol, and toxic work culture. But now that you know the truth, you can make a different choice. You can reclaim your nights, protect your biology, and rediscover the power of sleep. And in our final section, we'll tie it all together: how sleep shapes every aspect of life, and why embracing it fully may be the single most transformative decision you'll ever make. We've traveled a long way together to the world of sleep. Its science, its mysteries, its dangers, and its powers. And now, as we arrive at the final chapter of this journey, it's time to ask the most important question: what do we do with this knowledge? Because understanding sleep is not enough. You can know the facts, you can nod along at the science, you can even marvel at the stories. But unless you change the way you live, the benefits will remain out of reach. Matthew Walker's Why We Sleep is not just a book about biology. It's a wake-up call to a society that has forgotten the value of rest. And his message is urgent. Reclaiming sleep may be the single most important investment you ever make in your health, your happiness, and your future. Let's take a moment to tie everything together and paint a picture of what life can look like if you truly embrace the power of sleep. First, imagine your brain. You wake up after 8 hours of deep, undisturbed rest. Your memory is sharp, your mind is clear, your creativity is alive. You're able to learn faster, solve problems better, and think in ways that surprise even yourself. Instead of dragging yourself through the day in a fog, you're alert, focused, and present. Conversations flow more easily, decisions come more naturally, and challenges seem less overwhelming. That's not a dream. It's the daily gift of sleep. Every night you choose rest, you're literally rewiring your brain for success. Now imagine your body. With consistent sleep, your immune system is fortified, ready to defend you against infections and even cancers. Your heart beats steadily. Your blood pressure stays balanced. Your metabolism hums along in harmony. If you exercise, you recover faster and perform better. If you diet, your hormones work with you, not against you, making it easier to control cravings. Your skin looks healthier, your energy is higher, and you carry yourself with vitality. People will ask you what your secret is, and you'll know the answer is not a pill, not a supplement, not an expensive routine. It's simply sleep. And now, imagine your emotions. Instead of snapping at loved ones or feeling constantly on edge, you're calmer, more resilient, more empathetic. You have the patience to listen, the clarity to forgive, and the balance to handle life's ups and downs. Relationships flourish when people are well-rested. You laugh more easily, you connect more deeply, you live more fully. Walker's research proves that sleep is a foundation of emotional intelligence. If you want to be a better partner, a better friend, a better parent, a better leader, start with sleep. But perhaps the most powerful vision is this: imagine your future. Imagine adding years to your life, not just years, but good years. Years where your brain stays sharp, your body stays strong, and your joy stays intact. Sleep is the closest thing we have to a time machine, because every hour you give to it pays you back in longevity. The science is clear. Those who sleep will live longer, healthier, more vibrant lives. And those who neglect it don't. It really is that simple. Sleep is not a cost. It's an investment. Every night is a choice between borrowing from your future or building it. Which will you choose? Of course, change isn't easy. We live in a world that resists sleep at every turn. glowing screens, endless work demands, cultural pressures. But you now have the knowledge. You know that artificial light delays melatonin. You know caffeine lingers in your system for hours. You know alcohol robs you of REM. You know irregular schedules throw off your circadian rhythm. And you know the consequences: impaired memory, poor health, emotional instability, accidents, even early death. With this knowledge, you can no longer shrug off sleepless nights as harmless. You can't hide behind excuses like, "I'll sleep when I'm dead." Because the truth is, if you don't sleep, you'll be dead much sooner, and your life along the way will be less joyful, less creative, and less connected. Walker has given us the evidence. The rest is up to us. So, what can you do starting tonight? Commit to regular bedtimes and wake-up times. Dim the lights in the evening. Put your phone away an hour before bed. Skip caffeine after lunch. Trade the nightcap for herbal tea. Make your bedroom dark, cool, and quiet. Treat sleep like the sacred practice it is. These are not small tweaks. They're life-altering choices. Each step you take moves you closer to the version of yourself that is healthier, happier, and more alive. And here's the beauty. You don't have to wait weeks or months to feel the difference. The transformation begins after a single good night's rest. Tomorrow morning, you will already notice the change. As we close this journey, let's remember one of Walker's most powerful lines. Sleep is the single most effective thing we can do to reset our brain and body health each day. Let that sink in. Not diet, not exercise, not supplements. Sleep, it's the foundation upon which everything else rests. To neglect it is to sabotage yourself. To embrace it is to unlock your full potential. The choice is yours. So tonight, when you see your pillow, don't see it as wasted time. See it as your greatest ally. See it as a gateway to a sharper mind, a stronger body, a calmer heart, and a longer, happier life. This isn't theory, it's biology. The science is clear. The evidence is overwhelming. And the invitation is open. The question is, will you accept it? Will you reclaim your nights, honor your biology, and give yourself the gift that evolution has been perfecting for millions of years? Because at the end of the day, or rather, at the start of the night, sleep isn't just rest. Sleep is life, and it's waiting for you.